Guys, look what I've got here. It's an original PS1 controller. So, this controller here is from that older PS1 model, the gray one. People here call it PS1 Fat. You can see that it's quite grimy, but it's not from dirt. This grime, this color, is from being in the sun so much. And it doesn't work. The buttons don't work. The analog doesn't light up, so it's practically dead. But I'm going to fix this controller today. So, if you want to see it, just continue here. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andre, and today we're going to fix this PS1 controller. But if you don't have a PS1 controller, you have a controller from another console, no problem, because some of the tips I'm going to give you here, fixing this controller, will work for practically any controller. This controller here, I found it by chance. I was walking in a place I always go to look for old games, old consoles, that sort of thing, and I saw it hanging on a stall. It wasn't like that. It was very dirty. I've cleaned it on the outside. It looks much better. Then I asked the seller, "Do you have a PS1 controller?" He said he didn't, but I saw this controller there, and I said, "What about this controller?" Then he said that this controller wasn't selling because it was bad and didn't work. Then I said, "Okay, but how much can you give it to me for?" So I ended up taking the controller for $5. So if I manage to fix this controller here, it will have been very worthwhile. Because look, I was already looking at some controllers similar to this one. I found this one here at Shopee. It's for $35, but it's sold out, but the price was $35. It's beautiful, very clean, with the color still looking new. Now this one here in the US, which isn't sold out, is still selling. It's very yellow. It's for $22. So that's the price range, above $20. So, if we can fix this controller here, we'll have an original PS1 controller for $5. So, before we open the controller, what do I expect to find in here? First of all, you can see that there are no marks on the screws, neither on the screws nor in the holes where the screws fit. There are no scratches. So I think this controller has never been opened. I'll probably have to change the rubbers. You can feel that the rubbers aren't right. The analog, it seems to be fine. Maybe just lubricate it. What I think is the main problem is the wire. I think this wire, it's broken right here, because you can see that there's a little whitish piece here, which indicates that it's been wound up wrong. Why? What happened? Back in the 90s, kids used to take these controls and roll them up like this. It rolled up like this. The length of the wire is very difficult to break, but when you wind it like this, in here, you spend 1, 2, 3 years winding it like this, and it breaks the wire on the inside right here, and the buttons stop working. So I think that's what happened to this controller. In rarer cases, it may be that the circuit track on the board is broken somewhere. If it is, we'll have to look at it and redo it, but that's very difficult to do. I think that just by changing the rubbers, cleaning and repairing this piece of wire, it will work again. So, to fix this piece of wire, we'll cut a piece of it, resolder it, and see if the control works. We also have to take a look at the vibrators, see if they're working, if they're soldered properly, if they're rusty or not. All this we'll only know when we open it up. So let's open this control. So guys, I resoldered all the wires here. I chose not to remove the solder from the board. I just cut off the piece of wire that I thought was bad and soldered it wire by wire, insulating each one with insulating tape. I also had to solder the vibrator wires here. They were loose. I've tested the vibrators. They're fine. They're both working. I just had to resolder the wires. The rubbers. These are the rubbers that were on the control. They're not good. I'm not going to use them. The ones I'm going to use are these, from a PS4 controller. I changed the rubber a while ago. but these are still fine. The erasers on PS4 and PS1 controllers are exactly the same, if the controllers are the originals. The only thing that's different is the one in the middle. On the PS4 and PS3 controllers, there's this power button in the middle, while on the PS1, it's the analog stick in the middle. So this rubber is the only one that doesn't fit. All the others are exactly the same. So as this rubber here is probably the least worn, because it's the one that gets used the least, I'll keep it, I'll wash it, wait for it to dry, and I'll keep using it. At most, I think what will happen is that I'll have to press a little harder to press start, select, or analog. But I think this rubber here should still work, at least until I buy a new set of rubbers. These rubbers are sold separately. If I find a place that sells them, I'll put the link in the description. But, for now, I'm going to use these PS4 erasers, only the one in the middle, which I'm going to keep the one that was already on the controller. Here on the front, I've already checked the board. Nothing is broken. Everything seems to be normal, so I just cleaned it. The analog sticks, the buttons that are on the controller, are these. I have the PS4 ones here, but you can't swap them because, although they look the same on the front, the way they fit on the back is different. So if you want to change the analog buttons, you'll have to look for one from the exact PS1 to be able to swap them. The other ones won't fit. And here on the analog, I'm just going to grease it. Everything seems to be normal too. I like to use the white silicone grease, but since you have to get inside to lubricate it, I prefer to use this oil, which is more liquid. So just put a little bit in here and move the analogs around a bit, which will lubricate them a lot. After that, we just have to close it, test it, and see if it works. Before we continue, remember to subscribe to the channel. We have one video a week, always about games, movies, anime, series, anything related to pop culture. So take a look at the other videos on the channel. If you like them, just subscribe. So, let's get on with it. The control plastics are here. All that's left is for us to close it and test it. But since I've opened it and the plastic is still loose, I'm going to take the opportunity to make Retro Bright. Retro Bright is the process we do on old consoles and controllers to return the plastic to its original color. So I'm going to do this with this controller to see if it looks newer, but I'm not going to explain or show you how to do it in this video because I've already made a video explaining it all. So if you want to know how to do it, just click here on the card and follow how we do it to make plastic look like this, with a newer look. So once it's clear, all that's left is for us to close it and test it. One thing I almost forgot to mention, look, I'm already closing the control, and you can see this loop that the wire makes through these plastic pins. We mustn't forget to make this loop when closing the control, because it's these plastic pins that prevent the force you apply here by pulling on the wire from being transferred to these pins here, where the wire is soldered. So, when you pull here, it tightens in this turn, but this part of the pins here is loose, which is why it's also important that, when you solder the wire in this way, making a splice, you put the splice here where I put it, after these plastic pins, because then the same thing happens. When you press here or hold the wire, these plastic pins, they hold it and don't let this force be transferred to where the solder is, which is more fragile, so it's more secure. So now we just have to close it. I did the Retro Bright as I said. I lightened the plastic. It didn't turn out 100%, because this plastic, the way it is yellow, to turn out 100%, I would need a very clear day, with plenty of sun, but that's not what's happening here today. It's a bit cloudy, so I won't be able to do it today, but as the video isn't about Retro Bright, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll just close it and test it, and that'll be fine. So remember that the Retro Bright video is here on the card, so let's close and test. It's alive! It's come back from the dead. The controller is alive again. Everything worked 100%. The buttons worked, the analog worked, the vibrators worked. So, we have a 100% working PS1 controller, and it only costs $5. So guys, that's it for today. If you like this video, if you want to keep following content similar to this, comment down here, subscribe to the channel, and keep following. Thank you very much for watching. See you later, and bye.